Oh boy, alright, here we go. So, there's a few things I want to get out of the way. The first one is, the midst of the current controversy with Attack on Titan's ending, there's going to be plenty of videos discussing it, talking about it, whether it be good or bad. Of course, this is just my own thoughts on the ending of Attack on Titan, and more so people's reaction to the ending of Attack on Titan. Now, here's what I really want to say, though, at first. I cannot think for you. My job is to not think for you, nor make conclusions for you. My, I guess, quote-unquote job, if you want to say, is to just give my own thoughts and talk about series that you and I love. Sadly, at the end of the day, though, I understand that many people come to watch my videos solely for me to validate their opinion. With that out of the way, we can get straight into it. Some people need to relax, okay? Some people need to really relax, all right? I remember way back when I was a kid, I was a huge fan of the prequel Star Wars movies, especially the third one, and I remember how everybody hated them, and now, like, the third Star Wars movie is considered, like, the best one. What I'm trying to get at, and it's something that I tweeted out, is I think when it comes to the ending of a series, people just need to calm down and take it within its context. I think many times there are certain details that one needs to go back and reread in order to see what the author was trying to attempt within this ending. Personally, I have not been able to do that entirely myself because, well, the chapter just basically came out yesterday, or at least the raw translations for it. So throughout this video, I'll give some of my positives and also maybe negative thoughts on the Attack on Titan ending, and the first positive I really want to talk about is the visuals. Attack on Titan is not one of the first manga I would praise when it comes to visuals or artwork. It started off very rough and ugly, and to this day, it has this rough, raw aesthetic that I think kind of fits, but also just looks a little wonky. However, this chapter, I would love to see re-illustrated because I think it's some of the best visual storytelling and one that I could see being very emotional for a lot of Attack on Titan fans. Personally, I did not follow the series. In fact, I dropped it like 7 different times. I hated Eren, ironically. And spoiler warning, by the way, but if you clicked on this video, then you probably should have expected that. I really enjoyed how they were able to show Eren and Armin slowly over time evolving and going to different places and key events during the story. I remember checking out the Korean translation because I'm a complete psychopath who would rather spoil myself than let other people on Twitter spoil me. And without being able to understand any of the text and the dialogue, I was very pleased by just what was happening visually. I thought it was beautiful, and I thought it really communicated where we've gone from the beginning of Attack on Titan till now. Now, this is where some of the negatives, or I think a lot of the disappointing sentiments that people are getting from comes. I think this chapter left a lot more questions than maybe answers for certain people. However, my question to some of those people, although not all, is what did you really expect? This isn't me trying to divert any blame or absolve it from all criticisms. However, if there's a certain point by the story, especially near the ending, where certain plot points haven't been fully answered, why would you expect one final chapter to do that? There's only so much that one final chapter can really address and get into, and it's not really going to be able to satisfy, I think, all of your answers. Now, mind you, there was people who were messaging me and that I saw that had already kind of detested the direction AOT was taking near its ending, so all this did was just kind of push them further down that lane. And I think the biggest thing that really stood out with this chapter, and the scene that actually stood out to me when I was reading the Korean translations, was Eren's attitude. I knew this was going to be a chapter. I think we all knew this was going to be a chapter written from Eren's perspective for the most part. But his attitude was a little odd. As soon as I read the chapter and I read the ending, I instantly drew parallels to Code Geass. Now, personally, I am a bigger fan of the way Code Geass did things and of how Lelouch did things, but I think it's a debatable thing, and that's just me. However, what I think really upset most people is Eren revealing how he really felt on the inside. Now, I will say I personally really enjoyed it. I think seeing how Eren truly felt on the inside and how conflicted and emotional he was showed that he's kind of the same person he's always been from the beginning. However, what I will say is I think it's one of those things that, again, will lie in the details of Attack on Titan on a further reread that I might need to do. But I can totally see this coming out of left field and out of nowhere for most people. The seemingly cold, psychopathic, genocidal maniac who strives for freedom is now kind of crying about a relationship that he wants and doesn't want. I can see why that would upset some people. However, I don't think that should be taken out of its context, if not put together with everything Eren has done throughout the story. A few months back, I did a video on the tragedy of Eren Yeager, and I got some feedback that people thought I had misanalyzed his character. I don't know if that that would be the case now. But in that video, I talked about how I felt like Eren's strive for his goal, his ambition, would be an ambition that he would not be able to see. One where Eren was either hiding his emotions in order to be able to push through with this and sacrifice the people he cares about, or sacrifice being able to be with them, or whether or not he's actually truly some sort of genocidal maniac. And it turned out to be the first rather than the latter. And again, yes, you could definitely see how this is very, very similar to Code Geass's ending, and I say that if there's any ending you should take inspiration from would be Code Geass. But I saw the sentiment that for some that didn't really fit Attack on Titan, and I'd be very interested as to why you might think that. Personally, I think it's a chapter that will draw, if not already did draw, many, many, many emotions for Attack on Titan fans, whether it be good or bad. And I think that was the point of the chapter, taking you through the entire story from Eren's perspective, Eren opening up about he truly felt on the inside, and then seeing the closure of it all really is something that is a lot to take in at once. To say that this chapter completely hijacked Eren's character, or to then go and threaten Isayama, do all these just ridiculous things over Twitter, is just completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. I understand being passionate for a series, however, being unhealthily obsessed and passionate for something to the point that you threaten an author, no. I think all this chapter did was, again, show how Eren truly felt on the inside. I don't think this one chapter completely rewrote everything that had happened before in the story, unless I'm missing something. Sure, I could totally agree with the criticism that it may have come out of nowhere for some people. It did feel a little odd for me at first, but I ended up just taking it for what it was. And if I'm being completely honest, I think people are either going to be really happy or really upset on this chapter based off of how much this fulfilled their own personal theories and headcanon. Not saying that's everybody, however, when you have a series like AOT that's very mystery, I guess you could say heavy or centric in some of its plot points, people theorize a lot and they come up with these headcanons and these results that they would like to see, but sometimes they don't get. In my eyes, you need to put behind some of your own personal headcanon and theory, grow outside yourself, and see what the author's truly trying to communicate and present throughout the story. I think to pretend that this final chapter of Attack on Titan all of a sudden makes Attack on Titan completely terrible would just be completely unreasonable. I've seen a lot of series not stick their landings. Personally, I go back to Demon Slayer, one that felt extremely anticlimactic, but nonetheless for me, Demon Slayer was an okay series to begin with. And so there were a lot of things that I really did enjoy from this chapter, a lot of the other things that came near the end of this chapter that were emotional, although they didn't bring me to tears because I haven't been with Attack on Titan all that long. But I can totally see where some people might be a bit upset and a bit disappointed within this chapter. With all that being said and done, Attack on Titan has been one of the defining manga and anime of this generation. I remember being a kid in middle school first hearing about the series, and to now be able to talk about this with you is kind of amazing to see how life changes and grows and how these series stick with us. I think the message about treating others correctly in Attack on Titan is pretty prevalent, although ironically the fan base doesn't always get it. But nonetheless, it has been an honor to be able to talk about the series with you. I imagine Sufferance, Augie, and many other people who've talked about Attack on Titan feel the same way. So for probably the last time I talk about Attack on Titan, I just want to say thank you Attack on Titan, and thank you Isayama. As always, this has been The Masked Man. Hope everyone has a blessed rest of the day, and peace.